Hey everyone, it's Erika, your YouthAstroNet Community Coordinator. You may have noticed that we've been making some updates to the JS9 interface. Unfortunately, we've been doing this so fast that we haven't had time to have our tutorials keep up the pace. We've got a brand new image processing tutorial out for you, but we're still working on our RGB. With the RGB, there's a few things in our old tutorial that don't quite align, so I'm going to do a quick walkthrough with you today, and then you can keep your eyes out for that new full professional looking image processing tutorial that will hopefully come out in the next few weeks. Alright, so we're going to do an RGB, like I said, or a true color image. So to do that, we need to process 3 images, one taken through each of the filters, the red, green, and blue filter. I'm going to use the archived image list today, and I'm going to start with the Orion Nebula. So I like to start with the red image since that's the first in my list. And our first steps are just to process it like we would a regular image. So since it's a dim image, it's a nebula, I'm going to set my scale to log. And then we want to set our background night sky, our low brightness limit to the pixel value of the background night sky. So in this case, it's around 342. We'll start there and see what happens. Alright, that looks pretty good. I might bring it up 1 or 2 more. And then I'm going to bring my high brightness down just to bring out a little more of that dim dust and gas. Alright, so this image was taken through the red filter, so we're now going to colorize this image red. So to do that, we go to the color map up here in the top drop down menu and select red. Now we just have to repeat this process with the other 2 images, the green and the blue. So we'll do that kind of quickly here. Scale, log, set the low brightness to the background night sky, and bring our high brightness down a little, and colorize this one green. Alright, and then blue. Same steps, log scaling, 322 for our dim image here, and colorize that blue. Alright, so now we've got our 3 images, our red, our green, and our blue. What do we have to do next? Well, what we have to do is overlay them together. In this version of JS9, what we're going to do is actually select RGB mode. This is going to display all 3 images on the screen together. So I'm going to select that now from our color drop-down list. And there they are. They're all on the same screen. But it still doesn't look great, does it? Our images aren't quite aligned. And that's because the telescope, the pointing moves a little throughout the night, and since each image was taken separately, they're not exactly in the same part of the field of view. So we need to align them. And we actually have a separate shift tool. If you go to the tools drop-down, select shift here, it can pop open. My active image right now is still my blue image. That was the last image I was processing, and you can double check that because the color bar at the bottom is blue. And my green and my blue image here on the screen are pretty closely aligned. You can see just a little bit of blue offset here. So I'm going to finish aligning my blue to that green image just by clicking, and I think over one there. But my red image needs to move pretty far to align with the green and the blue. So I'm going to go up to my list and select the red. I know the red is the top one because that was the first image I opened. And I can double check that because now our color bar here is red. Alright, so now we're going to shift this image up. And as I move it, you can see it, the whole image kind of moving. What I like to do when I'm aligning is find a pattern of stars and match those instead of trying to align the dust or gas. It's a little easier to know that your points are on. And a pattern is better than a single star because you'll notice there's some hot pixels in our screen. These are pixels that react a little differently than the rest of the pixels around them. And until you get really good, it's sometimes hard to tell the difference between a star and a hot pixel. Alright. That looks pretty good. I'm always not super confident, so one of the things that I like to do to double check that my image is aligned is I go to the tools and select magnifier. And then I pick one of the bigger stars and double check that there's not a whole bunch of red on one side or blue on the other. This is pretty good. I could maybe move my blue image over left once more. So I'm going to go back to my blue. And I'm going to move my blue over one and maybe down one. That looks pretty good. All right, so now I've got my image pretty well aligned. I'm going to close my tools. Looks pretty great. I'm going to just do a couple post-processing to make it even just a little bit better. So I'm going to go to the tools and reduce noise. So that takes out some of those hot pixels. You can see them disappear. And then I'm going to go and sharpen it, just to clear it up just a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to save my image. I'm going to remember to save it as a PNG or a JPEG. If you save it as a FITS file, you're just saving the data, not the beautiful image processing that you've done. And make sure you're paying attention to where you save it to. I'm going to hit save. And there's my beautiful Orion Nebula. I'm going to post that to the portal to share with everyone. All right. Happy image processing, and make sure to check back here soon. We'll have some a further updated RGB tutorial that highlights the steps a little better for you. All right.